Welcome to Acorn to Oak with Penny Quayle Pierce and co-host Matthew Donachie. Within each acorn, there is the DNA that strives to be a mighty oak tree. All it needs to reach its potential for greatness is to be activated. You are the acorn. On this show, we will share with you the tools and guidance you need to grow into the person you are meant to be. And now your host, Penny Quayle Pierce and co-host Matthew Donachie.
Hi, good evening. We were having a little bit of a laugh and a joke just before we came on air about how we're all handling the weather in the UK, and also obviously in America too. It's the summer, it's getting hotter, and we're all getting slightly frayed at the edges, or my brain is anyway, because I just stopped and said I'm just about to go and turn the light off, and what I meant to say was I was going to turn the light on, but there you go. Such is life. So just handing over to Matthew to say good evening. How you doing, Matthew?
I'm very good. Hope everyone's doing well. Really looking forward to this show because there's a sort of a lot that's happened in my life that relates to it. So I'm currently sat right next to a fan, so I'm nice and cool. And I hope you're all doing the same.
Yeah. Either that or got very good air conditioning. So anyway, we're talking about the vocabulary of ultimate success, and really very much about words. And in the introduction we were talking about, obviously we've used words to make us laugh and cry. They can wound us or heal us. They can offer us hope or devastation. With words, we can have our noblest intents felt and our deepest desires known. And, for me, it's one of the things that I work with on a daily basis because I write a lot of copy. I do all sorts of different things as well as a radio show, doing Facebook Lives or doing teaching or helping people realize the importance of the words that we choose to use. And because of that, also the vibration of each word that we use. And one of my favorites, obviously, as I use as an example, if you want something and you're constantly wanting, then unfortunately the universe will only hear the word want and will leave you wanting. You will not be able to manifest the desires that you would, or outcomes that you would like to produce in your life. And it's purely because of the vibration of the word want. Want is a needy word. It's not taking responsibility. It's not taking, it's not looking at other people's needs, and it's not really an authentic word to use. So if you can rid yourself of the word want, you will find a huge change in the results that you gain in your life. But it's not just that. Obviously, the power of words is really important to use, and realizing the power of them, and realizing how much power you command if you just simply choose them wisely. We forget that words that you habitually choose also affects how you communicate with yourself and therefore what you experience. We all know that we have the inner dialogue, the inner dialogue that we have with ourselves daily. Sometimes it could drive us crazy when we're looping around the same old problem. And how to do the biggest and the most effective pattern interrupt is just to choose to describe what is going on in your head differently. because again, we could have, again, just choosing the heat as an example, we could all turn around and say it's suffocating heat. Well, that's when we start to suffocate from the heat. Or we can say it's warm but really great. And one of the posts that I put up this morning, because we knew it was going to be a hot day, was just a post or a short 40-minute video of the ocean, and with some really inspiring music, and just saying, if you need something to cling to today, this is the thing to look at, especially if you don't live near the ocean. I'm really lucky. I live by the ocean, but not everybody does. And therefore, getting that sea breeze is really nice. But it's really, getting back to the topic of vocabulary, it's really important to start to look at, now that you're more aware, it's looking at the words that you choose to describe your experience. Because in doing that, people who have an impoverished vocabulary live impoverished emotional lives. People with rich vocabularies have a multi-hue palette of colours in which they can paint their experience. So, using words like that and actually beginning just to test them out on your friends and your family, and actually, as I said, pay attention. The trouble is sometimes we use swear words or low vibrational words when we can't think of anything else to say. But if you can actually look at the words and check out, I do when I'm copywriting, is I check out, are these the words or the vibration that I want to be known for? And as I said, I've been using the tag of the truth is over the last few months, and it's amazing how many people pay more attention when they realise I'm coming up with the truth is, and then obviously a post or an inspirational quote or whatever it is. People just go, yeah, okay, so that's the truth. And it's amazing how when I use different language with different people, obviously for me it's usually, as I said, copy or marketing copy or whatever it is when you can appeal directly to someone's heart and inspire them, then you're going to get a better outcome than just putting down a whole load of jumbled words that don't go together. So I just wanted to hand over to Matthew, so he can talk a little bit about the experience that he's had with using different language. Okay, Matthew, yeah.
Great. Yeah, I think just to get across to people as well, just how important this is. That the words and what you put out to the universe is shaping your current life. And if something isn't necessarily working in your life, it's looking at your language around that. One example I had when I first started working with Pennie, and I wasn't a spiritual guy. I'd seen a few things and sort of understood a little bit about the law of attraction and that sort of thing. At the time, I had some debts to pay, and so I thought I'd try manifesting. And my words were, I want to pay my debt off. I want to attract the money to pay my debt off. I need this really bad. And I thought I was being authentic with the universe around how I felt, which is why I used those words. All I got in return was lessons around money. So the week after, I got a couple of letters through the post, obviously saying that I owed the money and that's something I needed to pay off. And I'm sort of looking at the universe, so why do I keep sort of having this experience? And it's being mindful of your behaviour around something. So it's not right for me to expect the universe to pay my debts for me. I have to take the responsibility of I've got myself in debt, therefore I have to get myself out of debt. And it's taking that responsibility for what it is and not expecting the universe to just supply money so I could get by. And it really made me look into what I was asking for. So rather than sort of try and manifest money to get myself out of debt, I would say it's my preference to take responsibility for this and be able to pay it as soon as possible. And all there is in that statement is honesty and a preference. Because rather than saying, I need this to happen, or I want this to happen, and the universe will answer every single time. And if you're asking, if you're saying, I want this, I want this so bad, you're just going to be left wanting for it. And it's the same with the word need. I need this to happen. And we need certain things to live. We need a roof over our head, we need water, and we need food. Those are basic, authentic needs. Everything else is looking at it and going, is that a want, or is it just a preference? Because as humans, we have the tendency to let things like jealousy in. So you may see someone with a really nice house and a swimming pool, and that's something you haven't experienced, and you think, oh, I want that. If I had that in my life, then everything would be great. And you're just going to be shown more examples of houses like that. The difference is you won't be living in them because the universe is answering your wants. Whereas if you see someone in a nice car or you see someone that's done very well in business, has a beautiful house, it's celebrating in the joy of what they have. If that's something that you would like to attract into your own life, it's not being jealous and going, no, it's all right for them, they've got a nice house and that sort of thing. It's fair play. That must feel amazing to live in that house. I would love that too. And it's celebrating in other people's success and just asking that some of that come your way. And it's made a huge difference in my life. When I looked at how many times I used these words of a lower vibration, for want of a better expression, things flip round. And this is why I said at the start, if something's not going right in your life, it could be something that you're saying or the way that you're putting it out to the universe that is bringing that into your life. And so I sat down and I did some journaling, and this takes time. I mean, I still come out with wants and needs every now and again, but it's catching them and then changing it. And it brings you more joy, it brings you more gratitude, and it makes you feel better because suddenly you can flip everything. So when we're saying flip the word want to a preference, it's the same with feelings. If you have feelings of jealousy or feelings of not being good enough because you don't see yourself as having what others have, it's flipping it round. And imagine you've already got it and celebrating that, because you're putting out a completely different vibration to the universe that will attract that to you. If you're sitting there and you
it's really important.
It's just using the low vibrational words.
Yeah, it's important to understand the essence of transformational vocabulary, and the words that we attach to our experience actually becomes our experience. And it is one of those basic rules of the universe is how we describe something is what we will experience. A great example of this is I had a client many years ago, and I know Matthew's probably heard this story before, and everything to her, whenever she got to a stage where she thought something was intense, it was really, really, you know, there was not just one really, it was really, 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 you know, because she thought if she added the extra two reallys, then I would take her more seriously. And, you know, it's, you know, we tend to repeat words that come stuck in our brain, and that actually defines the experience that we have, because this particular woman who was a client, everything was so intense. Every experience she had was so intense. And part of the process that we had to go through with her was to dial down the intensity of what she needed to experience. And it didn't have to be that intense. It didn't have to be that really, really, really intense. And you know, some of what we used with her was gentle humour. So I would say to her, is that experience really, really, or is it really, 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 really? And you know, she ended up realizing the humor in the situation when I was talking, if I was talking to her. And I said, you know, sometimes, you know, we just need to dial down the volume. You know, it doesn't need to be that intense unless you choose it to be so. And part of her experience was, you know, actually negating the amount of really, reallys, and then she found that her whole life was a lot more manageable. And it was just, again, for me, it was highlighting, you know, the need sometimes when we feel really vulnerable is to actually say, I'm just feeling a bit, you know, a bit off today, instead of going, oh, you know, it's really intense and I feel so vulnerable and I'm scared and I'm this and I'm that. You know, because that's the experience. Again, we are saying to the universe that we accept it. And actually, you know, it's perfectly okay to speak your truth, but just realize that maybe some of the language that you use and the words each have their own vibration, and they will attract maybe some of the things that you would wish you would not experience. And, you know, this is why, you know, at Acorn to Oak, I will say to people, and as Matthew was saying, you know, I'll get people to change from having wants to preferences, because your preferences are telling us exactly what you would like to experience without making it, I want it, which is the language of a small child, not an adult. And we need to realize that as we grow and we mature spiritually, therefore our language needs to change. Now, if we want to change our lives and shape our destiny, we need to consciously select the words we are going to use. And we need to be constantly strive to expand our level of choices. And, you know, that's a great quote. And that's a Tony Robbins quote, believe it or not. And, you know, people who are successful choose a vocabulary that will get them there. They choose the words, they look at the context, they look at how they deliver it, and, you know, they consciously, as I said, choose the words that will bring them successful outcomes. So again, I think we'll probably be going out for a break any minute now. But, some of the words that we wouldn't necessarily want to use to describe things are things like sullen, heavy-hearted, moody, woeful, grievous, tearful, melancholy, just to describe a few. So we're heading for the break, and we'll see you on the other side.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
So we're talking about the language of success and what vocabulary you use. The words you consistently select will shape your destiny. So it's the way that, we describe things that our mind and our conscious mind will then allow into the subconscious, sometimes, as I said, different aspects that maybe do not actually represent ourselves, which doesn't actually represent who we are. Constantly, it's really interesting to see how language and the modern way of speaking has changed over the years. And no, we don't all talk with a BBC accent in the UK, but it's the colloquialisms and the slang words that we use keep us in either my generation. I'm in my 50s, speaks in a totally different way from people who are in their 20s. And I look at it and I go, it's really quite interesting sometimes, the difference. And, people will say, oh, yeah, Penny, she's quite loquacious and articulate. But that's not necessarily the way that people speak who are in their 20s. And, when I get really, because I do get quite passionate about the words that I choose to use, because I'm aware of their impact. And I'm aware of how people, spiritual entrepreneurs nowadays want to be the change they see in the world. And I get very precise about what type of message you want to get across to be able to make that impact. So, I get a lot of different people sending me stuff and say, can you just have a quick look at that, Penny, and tell me what you think? And it's not just the energy of the copy or the individual words, but it's the overall impact that I look at, and energetically as well as obviously grammatically, what vocabulary they're using, and is it expansive rather than limited? Because this is very much where the human race is going now, is they want to use expansive language because, they want to be part of something much greater than themselves. So again, I'll hand over back to Matthew, if you're still there. Hello, you're still there? So that he can have his 2 pennies worth as well. So Matthew, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's also looking at the words you use, but look at the language and how you explain things. So I found when I was started out doing a lot of the work, I was very good at saying what I didn't want. And I'm going to use the word want so you get what I mean. But it's, well, I don't want this and I don't want that. Well, I don't want that to happen again. And I don't want this experience. And the universe doesn't hear the not. The universe doesn't hear the negative. So everything I was saying that I didn't want, I was attracting. And you look at it, and it goes much broader when you look at language and how people express themselves. Are they expressing themselves in a positive or a negative way? Because unfortunate things can happen to all of us. It's a fact of life, but it's how you handle it and how you talk about it. Every situation in life can bring you either learning or a sense of winning. I always say that there is no losing here. We either win or we learn. And we're attracting everything that we're attracting in our life, all the situations, all the people. It's because we've manifested that. It's something that we've asked to come into our life. So it's really looking into language and how people do respond more to positive affirmations and positive speak. Where Penny was talking about the really, really lady, I actually started using that a little bit in my own life, because my life went from being a good life, I have a great life, to being an absolutely amazing life. And it didn't feel right for me to just keep walking around going, yeah, I'm good, because actually I was really good. I had more enthusiasm in my life. I felt better about myself. And so why not fully express how I do feel? And try it out over the next week. Every time you go into a shop or you go into a garage to get your fuel or whatever it be, if somebody asks you, how are you? Say to them, I'm really good, thank you. How are you? And you'll be amazed at the response, because most people don't know how to handle that. And they question, oh, well, why are you really good? As if we all have to be bad or feel bad. And I've had a real laugh with it, because when you change your language, actually, you get more of a response from people. And I was having more of a laugh with people in the shops, and people really resonating with where I was coming from, because it was like, actually, I'm really good. There may be some things in my life right here, right now, that I would like to improve, but that's no reason to be stuck on those things. Oh, well, it's this and it's that, and doom and gloom. It's being grateful for the things that are really good in your life. And when you flip the coin on that, and you actually start using more positive words, you will attract more positive things into your life. And it's a really, really simple experiment or homework for you, if you in that term. Give it a try, play with it, because some people it will literally cheer them up in that moment, because they think their thought is, oh, really good, oh well, I could be really good too. And then you get the ones that almost they screw their face up because they can't handle really good. So just flipping different things in your life and looking at how you're using language and things you're saying when you're communicating with other people is, we're all in this together. We're all in this big game of life. And just affirmations and comments in your life can drastically improve it for yourself and others around you. So I found that that was a really good game I started playing. And like I say, even just that made a huge difference.
I think it does. I think it's amazing because, again, obviously, from my point of view, if someone asks me how I am, it's either, thumbs up, really good, or actually, I'm having a great experience right now. And they go, whoa, okay, how can I get a bit of a great experience? And I go, come on down. It's like front and center, And, I love the way, Matthew, again, you're acknowledging that life is a game. Use life as an experiment. And, don't take my word for it. Don't take Matthew's word for it. Go out there and try it yourself. And if you can drop the wants and the needs, that's the quickest way. If you can just drop those two words, it's amazing how much your life will change. And what's really, really amazing is you'll notice it within the first 7 days. And you'll just go, whoa, this, again, maybe I shouldn't use such a low vibrational word, but this shit works. This is absolutely blinding. And that's what gives you the passion back, One of the ways that I will sign off maybe a blog is, enjoy and enjoy. So, it's a case of, I hope you enjoy it because I enjoyed writing it. So enjoy and enjoy. And it's just, again, broadening people's consciousness to say, oh, yeah, I can do that. I can enjoy it. And I can be enjoy also. And another favourite sign-off for me is if I've done a post or if I've written something, a blog or a postcard or whatever, is I will all again sign off in divine friendship. And it's just reminding people that I may not know your face. I may not know who you are on a personal level, but I do know you on a soul level. And we are a global family, and in that global family, one of the most important things is communication. Because if we can communicate with other people and say, you may be having a little bit of a tough time right here, right now. And there are hundreds of thousands of people who are just going through a little bit of a tough time right now. But there's also people who can help and guide you from making little mistakes, which are just a small tweak can help you. It's like giving you a key which will turn the lock and bang, you're through a totally new way of being and new consciousness. And if the people who are consciously awake can do and help that and help others do that, then we're raising the vibration of the whole planet. Then we actually communicate better with each other. We choose words that will inspire. We choose words that will heal. We choose words that are going to give people the keys to unlocking their own personal dreams. And whoa, boy, oh boy, wouldn't that be great? And, Winston Churchill had a great quote, and I've got to say it, is that, if you wake up and you find yourself in hell, keep on walking. And, just a great quote from a very inspirational guy in the UK. I mean, you may not have the warm, fuzzy feelings that we do have towards him, but he got us through some really difficult times. And he was a great orator, and he spoke with amazing passion and clarity. And, it is people like that, and obviously Gandhi, who are basically, again, a great orator and a fantastic guy who chose his words well. And, I can come up with a whole heap of different and inspirational people who absolutely have given us the light at the end of the tunnel. And we understand that if we keep on walking, then we will reach our desired goal. And it is, again, people may just turn around and go, oh, for God's sake, we've got to do affirmations, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to do the other thing, and now we've got to look at the words that we use. Really, that's an awful lot to do. But you introduce a new concept slowly, and you just look and pay attention to what words actually help you spread WD-40 on the universe. So it's not a bumpy road. It's actually a real easy, enjoyable journey that we can all help each other on. And, as I said, communication is the key, and we'll be back after the break.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, so we're back from the break. I just wanted to just give you a few examples of how we can change, our old disempowered words into new empowering words. And, and basically, as I said, just flipping the coin. So I'll just go through a few, if you're angry, change it to disenchanted. If you're afraid, change it to uncomfortable. Anxious to a little concerned. Confused to curious. Depressed to calm before action. Maybe depressed, you're not on top of it right now. Again, depressed, just about to turn the corner. Destroyed, which is a real powerful word, to a setback. That stinks, to that's a little that's a bit smelly or whatever. Pissed off to being slightly tickled, or disappointed to be underwhelmed, disappointed to be delayed, disgusted. You may be, too surprised, dreaded to challenged, embarrassed to aware, embarrassed to stimulated, exhausted to being unrecharging. It's failure to learning. I hate to I prefer. All of these things, irritable, or irritated to stimulated. It's just flipping the coin. And, it may be overwhelmed to maximize. Rejected to misunderstood. Terrible to difficult. And it's, as I said, it's just learning to choose to express yourself in a better way, because those expressions actually are what manifests our life experience. So again, it's ultimately, using the vocabulary of ultimate success. So as I said, I just wanted to give you a few different examples, because people basically say, how do I do that? How do I do it? So we have this thing about making new empowered decisions. So this is the next step of going from old disempowering words to new empowering words. So again, I just wanted to hand back over to Matthew, because I know I can have a bit of a rant on these things. So handing it back to get his perspective.
Yeah, I think it's really important, very much when you were talking about the inspirational speakers. Einstein was one that came in for me, and that's insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Well, insanity is speaking the same way and expecting things to change. It is very much that what you put out, you get back. And if something isn't working, even one little change can completely change everything around, and speech can be one of them. Martin Luther King and Gandhi, they could have just got angry and ranted negatively about what they didn't like, or they could have inspirationally spoken to people in the way that they did. And between them, they probably saved half of the planet. And that's just two people speaking in an honest, inspirational way. So for me, it's a real big one. And we can all do this. There's in very many ways they were very special. However, if you ask them if they were special, they will probably tell you, no, I'm not special. I'm just doing what I'm passionate. And it's realizing that actually we can all have this change. within our lives and within the world. We can be that positive voice. We just have a tendency to focus on the negative. So when someone asks you how your day's been, you'll automatically, or most people, and it's another thing to notice when you have conversations with people, most people will bring up the negative first, and then the positive. I always try and flip that round and start with the positive. Oh, I've had a really good day, got a lot of good work done, met some amazing people. It was extremely hot, which I found challenging, but ultimately, what a good day. Whereas most people would start with, oh, well, it's so hot. Oh, well, yeah, I like it when it's hot and we like the sun, but this is too hot. It's a classic expression in the UK. When it's raining and it's slightly cold, we're like, oh, I can't wait for summer. And then summer comes and we're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't mind the heat, but this is too hot. And I'm sure on our thermometers in England, anything above 30 is too hot. But it's amazing how people focus on that. We've been waiting months for this glorious sunny weather so we can go to the beach and have barbecues and spend time with friends and not be stuck inside. And then as soon as it hits, everybody's moaning because it's too hot. And it's really interesting when you look at that, how so many people focus on the negative or focus on the negative first and then the positive. And it's realizing that the more positive affirmations and the more positively you speak, the more positive things you will attract and experiences you will attract into your life. So then the more you're talking positively, so the more you attract. And it is literally like that snowball starting at the top of a ski run. Could start off the size of a golf ball. By the time it's reached the bottom, it's the size of a 2-story house. And it is that snowball effect. And you really can flip things around.
And it's really important to realise that, you know, words can produce illness. Words can kill.
Yes.
You know,
yep.
And, you know, obviously as an ex-medic myself, you know, how many times that, you know, people were walking around and then they got a diagnosis. And as soon as they got the diagnosis, then they fell into the pattern of that disease. And even more so, now we've got Google and, you know, we're told a label and then we go out and do some investigation about it. And we start producing within us a whole bunch of symptoms that, in fact, we didn't have before. But because we'd looked at the words, we'd looked at the descriptions of the disease, that's how we actually manifested more debilitating symptoms. And for me, you know, I get really passionate about this, and it's quite interesting in my life at the moment. My husband's Nana, we call her Nana Pat, and she's in her 80s and she's had a tough life. She's had 10 children. She's brought them up as, you know, at a certain stage in her life, she got divorced, so she was bringing up 10 children on her own. Unfortunately, 2 of them have died before her. And she's just been diagnosed, or you know, the doctors are trying to diagnose her at the moment with terminal cancer. And my respect for Nana Pat is immense. And she handed all of the reports and said, oh, well, you just get Penny to read this. And Luke turned around to her and asked, do you want to know, Pat, you know, Nana, do you want to know the results? And she said, no. She said, Penny will understand what it is. If I want to ask anything, I'll ask Penny. And I just thought, what a good job. What an excellent thing, because there have been many, many times as soon as somebody has heard the word cancer, they've pretty much managed to bring the troops home in less than 6 months, i.e., you know, they've managed to the pathology has ripped right through their body, and they will, as I said, bring the troops home or die, within the 6 months period of what the doctors have told them, because we believe what the doctors say. And instead of turning around and going, hang on a minute, right now I don't have any signs and symptoms of this, so why would I believe the words? Why would I not challenge them and just go, hang on a minute, I feel healthy, so therefore I don't need to know anybody else's opinion. I will make my own opinion of this. And to me, I just, I'm sending so much love to her right here, right now. And I know she responds to that. I mean, she's got, as I said, she had 10 children. She's got something like, I think about 50 grandchildren, and she's got hundreds of great-grandchildren. And I just look at her and just go, this amazing woman, if there is anything I can help her with, it's to live the rest of her life. Whether that be 3 months, whether that be 6 months, whether that's 3 years or 10 years. And I wouldn't put it past her, because this lady was riding her bicycle, and she's still riding her bicycle down into Fleet to take care of the old folk in her 80s herself. She has an enormous heart. And I just look at it and just go, wow, I only wish I am like that when I am in my 80s. And not so long to go at the moment as I used to have. But hey, if I have that much passion for life in my late 80s, then I'll be living a great life. And it is, using words and using our empathy and our compassion to help people improve their lives by just changing a little bit of the vocabulary that they use. Please take this out and spread it, and realise that the little changes can have such a profound effect. And if we all tried this, how amazing to have a more compassionate and empathetic world, just by changing how we talk and the words, and realizing that each word has a vibration of its own, and therefore choosing to pick high vibrational words. Yeah. So handing back to Matthew so that he can wrap up any of his thoughts.
Yeah, it's really interesting as you were talking. It reminded me. I lost my gran a few years ago, and I was very fortunate enough to be there towards the end. And it all started with her feeling ill and going into hospital with an extreme infection. But what was really interesting for me to watch is that the infection had affected her brain to the point where the doctors actually thought it was a sort of dementia, because she couldn't remember things. She just wasn't with it, and that's what the infection was doing. But what was amazing for me to watch is because she wasn't taking on board what the doctors were telling her, and she couldn't understand what they were telling her because of the infection, it didn't affect her. She was up and about, she was bright, she would converse. It was like there was nothing wrong, but it was because she didn't realise there was anything wrong. And I laugh about it now, but it's looking back on it and realising that actually if she realised the extent of her illness at that point, she probably would have taken the doctor's advice and sat in bed and taken it easy, and it probably would have got worse. But she didn't understand it, so she was getting up, she was helping other people in the hospital. It was like she was going back to her nurse days, where she was actually helping other patients. And like I say, I laugh at it, and it's such a fond memory for me, because I got to spend some of the last weeks of her life with her, but it was just seeing that side of things and actually seeing that if we're positive and we don't realise what's going on, we respond very differently. Whereas very much like Penny said, and I think I mentioned it in another show, you have adverts on the radio saying that sort of one in two people are going to get cancer. And you imagine two children on their way to school listening to that radio advert and then looking at each other and having the thought, it's going to be you and me, you or me. And you think if that thought works its way in and that child tells itself enough, well, either me or my brother's going to get cancer, what do you think they're going to manifest? And it's one that really, I had a real good rant about it because I think we're putting out some language on adverts and television and media, and we really just don't realise the damage it's doing. So obviously we can take something very negative and make it positive, but it's the
hugely how negative that type of marketing is, and how we need to look what we allow ourselves to listen to, not only the words that we choose, but that's a totally different show. I could rant about that for another hour, and here comes the music, so Saved by the Bell. So I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk about this some more, and and thank you for coming, and thank you for being here, and in my usual thing, we hope you've enjoyed it, and extending our thoughts of divine friendship. Take care.
Yep. Take care, everybody. We'll speak to you next week.
Okay.